So we're going to talk about forgiveness because it's a big thing with me, and I didn't understand what it was until I got into it. And I'm redoing this video because as I was uploading it to Rumble, I noticed that my microphone was not plugged in. I had to unplug it, and it was because this is older work that I've done, and so I had to get on my scan disk and pull it up because I didn't have it on this computer. So here we go again for the second time. But considering as many videos as I've done right now, that this is kind of, well, I guess I did it a few times there at first, but this was the first time where I did an entire video and didn't realize it messed up. So here we go. So I'm Jeremy. Welcome to the channel. This one, if you're on YouTube or Rumble, will be under Practical Focused Improvement. I also have another channel called Freedom of Expression. If you're on BitChute, you just get it all, baby. And so this is part of the Jordan Peterson series about where I'm going over his book, and I've got several parts to it. This one is not quite associated to it, so this isn't going to be like part 5 or part 6, whichever one that I'm on, but they're all there. They are on all of them, so no matter what platform you're on, they are there. But again, like I say so often, is that this is not about telling you what's right or what's wrong. This is just something that I've learned, and I'm just kind of sharing, and that there's not enough of this. Did you ever go to school and did you learn about anything along values or how to deal with people or with how to kind of put yourself on a path, so then that way you're just not going off in every single direction? Because I tell you what, before I learned at least a little something about forgiveness, I was full of anger, and I still am, but it did help. It definitely helped. So before we get into this, if you like what I'm doing, give a thumbs up, subscribe and become a member, and then whenever I've really produced quite a bit of content, then think about joining me on Patreon or Subscribestar so I can hire more people and then later get into coding and making a website, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so this is really early on whenever I started all of this, and I did this because my childhood was trash, a lot thanks to my father, who I will not go too much into him ever, and it's because the past is where it is, and that's where it can die along with him. So one of the things that I got fed up with was my anger, because it was like, right now, I have so much that I'm angry and pissed off about that I could spend all of my time on people who have done some kind of transgression against me. Or I could do something like this. You can't do everything, and I don't want to spend one more damn second than I absolutely have to even think about him or anybody else. You can choose, well, are you going to be optimistic or pessimistic? I'm going to be optimistic. And you know what? Absolutely nobody can do this other than yourself. And so that's what I've decided to do. Screw that. It's not going to have this hold over me anymore. And people will absolutely use that to manipulate you. They'll make you feel guilty and bring you down, or they'll try to rile up that anger to get you on their side over something. Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. No, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't like being lied to. I don't like being manipulated. I want to know the truth. I want the best possible information so I can make the best decision that is there for me. And so this is, man, notebook time here. This is so old that this was on a previous computer, lost the computer, but I was smart enough to start writing this stuff down. And actually, I did manage to get it on a little scan disk hard drive, USB hard drive there, so I was still able to pull this up. And this was very early on, and so I kind of did this in lessons for something a while ago, and I would start off with the definition. And so don't be surprised you're not have heard something like this before, so because this isn't something that's taught in school. It's one of the many failures of our school system. So forgiveness, the way that I have it defined, is the intentional and voluntary process by which a victim undergoes a change in feelings and attitude regarding an offense. being able to let go of the negative emotions, such as vengefulness, with an increased ability to wish the offender well. And I'm going to pause right there. That depends. I mean, there are some things it's like, I don't wish them well. I don't wish them anything bad either, but it's like, man, so it depends. That one's kind of, man, that's a hard one. So anyways, to continue, without any expectations or apology. So I'm going to pause again. It's like, yeah, that's right. Well, why would you expect something from somebody who's being trash to you? It's like, no, don't expect anything. You're not doing it for them. This is all about you, and we'll get into this. So to continue, this is not condoning or excusing what they've done. This is about giving peace and helping you relieve your hate. This is a choice that we make of our own free will. So I want to stress this. I really want to stress this. Forgiving has nothing to do with the other person. Nothing. This is all about you so that you can clear up your life, so you can have focus with what you want. So, for example, with my dad, I told him that I forgave him. And he just thought that everything was going to be hunky-dory. And it was like, no, it's not. You treated me like trash. Absolute 100%. And it's like, no, the man is absolutely narcissistic. All he thinks of and all he ever does are things that are for him. And so I'm not getting into all that. But I did this because I was spending a lot of my time being hateful. And so let's get a few things clear as we've kind of gone over this a little bit now. Some virtues that go along with this, what I have down as number one is courage. Yes. I mean, to forgive someone, that's hard. It is not easy. It takes strength to do that. Because a lot of times, especially the worse that it is, man, you just want to tear into them. And in ways, it's fun being angry. Kind of makes you feel good. And Jordan Peterson, he talks about this, that there's like a positive kind of emotional, psychological thing that happens inside of us for feeling angry, you know, and so it's not as clear cut as it may seem. Another virtue or value with all of this is, well, love, obviously, and humility, to be humble, to humble yourself. Because you want to engage with people who understand this, because forgiveness should be a two-way street. That yes, you should absolutely forgive other people because people need to forgive you too. How dare you say that people should only forgive you, but you don't forgive them? It's like, you're full of it too, because no one's perfect. No one is. And it's not enough to just say, I'm sorry. No, you go patronize someone else with that crap. That's something little kids say, is that they say they're sorry because they don't know any better. It's very hard for them. But whenever you're an adult, sorry does not cut it. The correct answer is you either stop or you need to make a change. It's like, well, if you're going to continue, then you can go do that somewhere else with someone else, but not with me. Or if you want to continue, if you have to be involved with him, and then it's like, then you need to change and you need to stop. If you're really sorry, then that's what it takes. You can take your shallow words and you can go shove them. You know, I need some kind of action to prove it. And so you can show it. Absolutely. And so Dr. Robert Enright from the University of Wisconsin-Madison actually founded the International Forgiveness Institute. And so some of the things that they found out is that studies have shown that people who do not forgive are generally more neurotic, angry, and hostile, holding on to their offense for long periods of time, avoiding their transgressors, and enacting revenge. Man, I'm not playing those games. If you divulge into your anger and your wrath enough, I mean, what's going to happen? Well, if you try to act your revenge out on someone, there's a good chance that you might have an issue with the police, go to jail or prison or whatever. And it's like, nope. And I'm not going to avoid anybody. I'm going to go about doing whatever it is that I need to do. And I can absolutely walk by you without recognizing you for 1 second. I'm not going to say hi. I'm not going to do anything. I might get an angry look on my face, but I don't care. You come up, try to talk to me. I will not stop. I will not acknowledge your existence. Absolutely nothing will happen because you are nothing to me. If that's the way that it all plays down, and it depends on what it is that happened between the two of you. And so that also studies have shown that people who forgive are happier and healthier. Well, that makes sense. Improving their cardiovascular and nervous system. It's like, well, yeah, I know that with stress, it's the opposite with all of this stuff. And they're less likely to suffer from a wide range of illnesses. And I would say a lot of that goes back to stress as well. You know, that you don't want stress in your life. And it's like, well, yeah. So studies have also found that people who are taught how to forgive become less angry and feel less hurt. It's like, well, yeah, that makes sense. They're more optimistic and more forgiving in a larger variety of situations, becoming more compassionate and self-confident. It's like, well, yeah, I tell you what, I definitely feel more confident that I can, with my ability to forgive other people, because who messes up? Everybody, just not you, just not these people, but it's everyone. Man, if you've had kids or if you've been around kids, man, those little rugrats mess up all the time. What are you going to do? Hate them? It's like, come on now. It's like, no. And it's the same thing with other people. It's like, yeah, you know, maybe part of the reason why they're like that is because of the stuff that's happened to them. But there also comes a point in time where you're kind of old enough and should be responsible enough that you should at least be putting in some kind of effort. My dad never did any of that crap. He wasn't sorry for any of that crap that he did. So, I don't know. So, anyways, to continue compassionate and self-confident, as well as a reduction in experience of stress and the physical manifestations of stress and increased vitality. Literature has been linked to stress-related illnesses. Uh, yeah. I mean, all that seems. I was looking into stress a little bit before all that because my mom died before I came to all of this, and part of it was because she died, because I was left with having to deal with my father. So, and then I wanted to click over here. Oh, and so part of what I taught, and so, you know, the values that I said was courage, love, and humility, and kind of the vices to that is that if you don't learn how to forgive, then you're cruel and you're merciless. You're anger. Like, is that what you want to be? It's like, I don't. I don't want to be angry and cruel. I don't want to be a chump either. I don't want people to walk over me. And that's where my confidence comes in, is because it's like, yeah, you know what? I can accept my failures and my failings, and I can accept yours too, up to a point. And one of them is definitely is if you're not even willing or going to try. It's like, yep, because I tell you what, I can tell you to go take a hike. So absolutely. So I also had a joke because I wanted to keep things cheerful and lighthearted to a certain degree, you know. And so I heard about this lady that died, and she found herself standing at the pearly gates. St. Peter said, "Can't come in yet. You have to correctly spell a word." She said, "What word?" He said, "Any word." So she spelled the word love, Love. Peter said, "Welcome to heaven." Then Peter asked if she would take his place for a moment. He instructed her to follow the same procedure if anyone else should come up. Well, in a few minutes, the lady sees her ex-husband walking up. She can't believe it. She says, "What are you doing here?" He said, "I just had a heart attack." "Did I really make it to heaven?" She said, "Not yet. You have to correctly spell a word." He said, "What word?" Then there was a long pause, and she said, "Czechoslovakia." Yeah, so I don't know if that's dad humor or whatever, but I thought it was funny. So I hope you enjoy it. Also with this Dr. Robert Enright, they kind of come up with this 20-step process. I'm going to go over it real briefly. I'm just going to name them all. So there's several phases to it. The first one is the uncovering phase. And I put this down because I actually associated myself with quite a bit of this examination. It's like, yeah, I examined what the hell is going on. Confrontation of anger. Yes, I definitely have anger. I mean, who doesn't? Whenever somebody's wronged you, of course you're going to be angry. Admittance. It's like, yes, I'm going to admit to all this stuff. And it's like a little awareness. Okay, well, what does this really mean? What's it doing in my life? It's like, is this what I really want to be doing? It's like, no, there's so many other things to do. And so rehearsal, and it's like, yeah, I kind of played it out in my mind as to how I'm going to deal with him and everything else and other people and other wrongs that kind of come to me. So, and then the insight that it brings to all that and realization, and then an altered view, like, yeah, it's like, yeah, all of this. So, and then there's the decision phase. So it's kind of having a change of heart and having this forgiveness as an option, which is hard because it's like, I don't want to forgive you, but knowing that it's not about them and it's about you, it's like, yeah, because I tell you what, it pissed me off so bad whenever he was like, he wanted to come up and be like, oh, I'm so glad that things go back. It's like, oh, hell no. This is work that I've done. This is what I'm doing this for me so that I'm not living like an a-hole anymore. It's like, what have you done? Nothing. Couldn't say a thing. How are you better? Couldn't say a thing. Do you recognize that that crap was trash? Nope, nothing. How can you be better? Nope, nothing. So here's some really good advice. Even though I don't have kids, I have plenty of friends and family who do have children. And whenever I deal with them and over something that they've done wrong, first off, three things. One, what did you do that was wrong? Make it clear, short, and to the point. So think of it kind of like a vocabulary word. Number two, why was it wrong? So back to the vocabulary, define it. What's the definition for it? So they can understand it instead of just saying that it's wrong. Okay, well, explain it to them. And then lastly, number three is, well, what can you do better for next time? So, because, that's the whole point of doing all of this, is that you want them to stop. So help them understand. And then what can you do better for next time? So what happened? Oh, you hit your sister. Well, why did you hit your sister? Because you're angry that she took your toy or whatever. It's like, well, yes, she should have asked you. So instead of hitting her, you should have talked to her first and say, you need to ask me first, and you need to learn how to use your words, because if you grow up and you keep hitting people, then at school you're going to get in trouble. And as an adult, you're going to have problems with people calling the police on you, and you're going to end up in jail. So that makes it a lot easier for a kid to be able to recognize this stuff. And then, yes, you're going to probably have to spend some time, and you're going to have to help the kid figure out a better way to express themselves through a better choice of words instead of just resorting to some kind of anger. But in the long run, hopefully, whenever your children get older, you stop having this adult-child relationship and it becomes more of an adult-and-adult relationship, and you can do more. Because who wants to spend time doing that all the time? So it's like, yeah, just absolutely. Where was I? And so considering forgiveness as an option, and then commitment. It's like, because all this doesn't do you any good if you don't actually do it. So, and then the next phase is the work phase, which is reframing, compassionate towards the offender, which again, I'm going to say it depends, because some of it, it's like, no, it's just done. We're through here, but if it's your spouse, if it's your children, it's like that would definitely apply in a situation like that. So acceptance of pain, it's like, yeah, because I tell you what, there are plenty of people where the forgiveness part is all worked out, and it's like, still hurts, still sucks, but at least whenever they try, it's like, but I feel better about it, I appreciate that. And then, you got someone who's good. Oh, I tell you what, that's really good whenever you got someone who's like, they're willing to admit, yeah, I messed up and I'm willing to work at it. It's like, you know what? Yeah, me too. You let me know. Oh, that's so good. And that's part of dating too, it's that you're supposed to go through these little trials right here. And if you can't even work it out whenever you're dating, I mean, what's going to change whenever you're married? It's like nothing. It's not like magic just reigns over you and that other person, and it's just all going to be a fairy tale. It's like, no. So then the next phase is the deepening phase, and that's giving and finding meaning. And it's like, I definitely found meaning with this. Absolutely. And I like that my life has more meaning. Yourself needs forgiveness. I mean, yes, of course, because you're not perfect. And so, and not being alone in this, because I tell you what, you will have better relationships whenever you find people who also do this with you. It's like, it's real good. New purpose. It's like, yeah, because my purpose in life is no longer being angry and just because he would do such a good job of triggering because everything about him is him, and just he didn't care how trash he was with me at all. It's just it's like it goes in one ear and out the other. We went to counseling and all this stuff, and it was like just nothing sank in with him at all, because it's not like I wanted to throw my dad out of my life, but it's like I have no control over it at all. And it's like, you know what? Screw this. You're at least 20 years older than I am, and you don't have a clue. Yeah, forget that. And then decreasing your negativity, and having this release is the last one on the 20-step process. And it's like, yes, absolutely. So forgiveness is not accepting them and just going back to the way that things were before. No, there should be change. So don't think of it as being just this weakness and just rolling on over and showing your belly. That ain't it at all. So let's skip that. Studies have shown, yeah, about that. Apology. If you seek forgiveness from others, it suggests that apologizing will help, but weak ones might make things worse. Yes. So apologizing. If you're seeking forgiveness from another, studies suggest that apologizing will help, but weak apologies can make things worse. Absolutely. And so it was what I was talking about with that being patronizing to someone. That's exactly what it is. And that's whenever you're treating someone with kind of this fake kindness, but it really betrays a feeling of superiority. Oh yeah, you can take that and you can just shove that. Don't talk down to me. Yeah, and people do that one a lot. Oh, there's someone right now in my life who kind of does this kind of nonsense, and it's like, but I really don't have to deal with them right very much at all. Very rarely, very, very, very rarely. And so I'm just kind of biting my tongue, because you got to pick and choose your battles. And so I don't think it's worth it. I got a little bit of stuff that I got to do with them, and then after it's done, it's back to nothing. So struggling with forgiveness from abuse, trauma, or loss, it takes time to sort things out. It's like, absolutely. And if that's what it takes, I mean, don't worry about it. I mean, some things are really bad. And like I said, did school ever go over any of this stuff with you? Do you think maybe it would have helped? It's like, it sure would have helped me. I wish I would have known a little bit more about this. I don't even remember there being a class over something like this. Maybe there was, and if so, it was like one. And I'm sure it was obscure and just buried in it. It's like, yeah. And who puts any kind of focus on that? I don't know about today. Maybe it's different, but I don't remember any such thing. So, and we're going to pass on this. Oh, and so some words of thought that I like. Forgive me of my nonsense, as I also forgive the nonsense of those who think that they talk sense. Yeah, I like that. Forgive me of my nonsense, as I also forgive the nonsense of those who think they talk sense. So I think I talk sense. I hope it's not nonsense. It makes a lot of sense to me. So, and I've never had anyone actually come up and say that didn't make any sense at all. They get it. So, oh, Muhammad Gandhi. The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. You're damn right. If we practice an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, soon the whole world will be blind and toothless. Like, that's right. Absolutely. It's got to stop. And I tell you what, with me, it stops with me. What about you? Alexander Pope, to err is human, to forgive divine. That's a pretty common one. And I think that's kind of another way of saying to forgive, being divine. Forgiveness is an attribute of the strong. Yeah. I like this one too. I like this one a lot. Keep in mind that people that are hurting often hurt other people as a result of their own pain. If someone is rude and inconsiderate, you can almost be certain that they have some unresolved issues inside. have some major problems of anger, resentment, or some heartache that they are trying to cope with or overcome, the last thing that they need is for you to make matters worse by responding angrily. It's like, yes, again, we're not all perfect. So something that I used to do whenever I was a kid that I've kind of slipped away from as an adult, is that if I was having problems with someone, one of the things that I would do is I would kind of take a step back and say, hey, you know what? You seem like you're a good person and you're just really kind of acting kind of like an a-hole or bad or whatever. Something bothering you? Holy crap. And so often, they just start spilling their guts about something that was going on at school or with a friend or family member, and it was like they were a completely different person. They just needed to let it off their chest. And then afterwards, it was like we got along better because it was like there's somebody who gave a damn at least enough to actually ask me what the hell was going on. It's like, that was cool, and so I don't know what it is today. I think I'm a little, I guess you could say I expect a little bit more from adults. So, and because I don't have kids, I do kind of snap at kids a little bit more than I should. And it's like, no, chill out, and it depends. So when my friends, though, all their kids are now, we're so old that they're actually older and their kids are having kids. And it's like, so I'm kind of having to re-go through it again. So yeah, life kind of happens in circles. So application, how are you with forgiveness? Would you help someone that has hurt you? It's like, well, yeah. I mean, it depends. If they're just completely unwilling, it's like, no, there's a cliff, take a hike. But if they are, it's like, yeah. I mean, how else are you going to build up any kind of meaningful relationships? So can you think about them or whatever happened without getting upset? And this is something that Jordan Peterson talked about, is that if you've had some kind of experience and it's been more than 6 months and you're still having an emotional response to it, then you have not resolved the issue. And one of the ways that he suggests dealing with this is by sitting down and writing about it. Don't worry about spelling or grammar or anything like this. This isn't for a class. You're not going to be graded on it. So just write the damn thing. And he does quite a bit of this. And this all started with him and I think a few others. I know he didn't do it alone. I can't remember if it was just one other person or if he had a few. I think he had a few. And they came up with this kind of exercise for students to do. And what it was to write about your worst self if you just stopped caring about everything, and write about your best self if you really try to apply yourself. What would your life look like? Do that 3 times a day for 15 minutes each, and just write to your heart's content. And he was like, some of these people would write like 500-word pages of all this stuff. And said it takes a little time and you kind of get down, and also write about kind of like all the crap that also happened in your life at the same time while you're doing all this. And this just kind of helps sort all of it out because you're kind of organizing it a little bit of a way. And be honest. Don't lie. You don't have to share it with anybody either. That's not what it's about. And then you start to get better. So and so with the students that they did this with, that especially with the guys, that they had a noticeable improvement because their grades started going up and their lives got better, and they reported on all this stuff in a significant amount. And part of the reason why it didn't have quite the impact that it did with girls was because girls in society are already pretty supportive, or people support them and kind of prop them up. And so they're not as down as much as the guys were. So the guys kind of had more to go up to. So that's why it kind of had a bigger impact on them. And so can you go a month or more without thinking about what happened? Are you more interested in prioritizing your peace of mind than you are staying mad at them? It's like, yeah, you got to make a choice. You can't do everything. It's like, do you want to be mad? Because like I think I already said this or last video where the audio was bad. I have enough that I could definitely spend all my time just being mad, pissed off, and just whining and crying and being a little child about it. Or I could do something else like this. And it's like, I would much rather do this. Absolutely. Oh my, this is much better. By far, hands down. And so, are there good things about them that you can see? And Again, it depends. You know, some of them, they need to take a hike. But if it's like your spouse or your significant other, it's like, yes, you want to do that and you kind of want to build off of that and grow over there. And so when you have a misunderstanding with another person, do you find it difficult to ask for forgiveness or to apologize? That can be difficult because how are they going to take it, you know, and, you know, what's going to evolve from that whole situation? Because it could open up a whole different kind of situations and problems that are going on because maybe they're also feeling angry at you over some things and maybe they're valid. So, and that's where courage comes in. You got to be strong with this stuff. So, can you see a valuable lesson with the experience? And it's like, yeah, I think that's really good because I don't want to be trapped in the same thing, doing the same things over and over again. I want to move forward. So, do you genuinely want them to be happy in the future? Again, it depends, you know, either take a cliff or if it's like your children. I mean, so it depends. Do you want them to be successful? Same thing. I did a good job with this. Because this part right here, especially, I came up with this on my own. Do you want them to be a reason as to why the experience happened? And in what way or another you will benefit from it in some way? Yeah. So them too, you know, of course, yeah, them too. Yeah, take their words and shove it. Let's see something to back that up. And with your kids, you know, you definitely have to take the lead with little kids. Is there anything that you can't forgive? And so, one of the videos that I'm going to create later too is that all of your emotions and your feelings stem from nothing but you. And so it's like, right now, am I, how happy am I, or how pissed am I? You can't tell. I mean, you can kind of tell because we give nonverbal cues. We have body language and stuff like that. But it all comes from just us. So your neighbor next door, you have no idea what their feelings are. Nothing radiates from it. You know why? Because it's all internal. And so I'll get into that a little bit more. I found a guy from selforganizing.org, I think is the name of it. It's a YouTube channel. He's also got a website, and he's really deep in all this stuff. And some of it's kind of like, yeah, what the hell are you talking about? But some of it too is like, man, he took that hammer and he hit that nail right on the head. So, and then the university, blah, blah. So, yeah. And so I also have links in the description below with Jordan Peterson, where he's talking about, it's another one of his biblical series. And he's talking about how forgiveness, a more complete kind of sense of forgiveness, that whenever you come back, it's not enough to just say that you're sorry, that you do need to have some kind of action that kind of follows along with it. And he kind of explains that a little bit. And I also have a link to another video where there's this PhD professor guy, and he's talking about how part of forgiveness is also your inability to accept no as a response. And it's a really good explanation that he gives. And so I highly recommend that you, of the two videos, I'm going to have to say, watch his over Jordan Peterson's. You know, Jordan Peterson's good. And I do like what he's got to say with it all, but I think this one was a little bit better. So, but both of them, if you have the time, for sure. But if you don't have the time and you can only do one, then do that one. And, okay, so video or audio is working this time, so we got it all. Way damn too long. Holy crap, this was worse. This one is longer, and so this one's going to take forever to upload. So if you like this kind of stuff, which I hope that you do, I hope you found at least a few things helpful, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe and become a member so you can get more of this stuff. And then later, as I've produced a lot more videos, we'll look into generating some money so we can create a website so we can make things at least a little bit better around here, because I know what I'm talking about. At least enough to be able to make this stuff work. Absolutely. So thanks a lot for watching. I appreciate it, and we'll see you later. Bye.